everyone, and welcome to Long's Toys. I have a Power Rangers Dino Charge review for you today. This is the second wave of the villain figures, which I think is wave 6 overall of Dino Charge figures. Not 100% on that. I know these are kind of coming out of order because I've already done some Supercharged stuff. These were kind of in my backlog, so I decided to get to them quick because the Supercharged figures are coming. I've nabbed a couple of them, but not all the ones I want to get, but want to take a quick look at these before I move on to any Super Dino Charge. Dino Supercharge. I always want to say Super Dino Charge because that's like Super Samurai or Super Megaforce, but it's Dino Supercharge, so I got to get used to that. In any case, this wave consists of Spellbinder, Stingrage, Sledge, Vivizord, and Slammer. So taking a look at the packaging real quick for these. Spellbinder looks pretty good. If you would like to read his bio, I will try to zoom in a bit. You have your choice of 3 different languages. But pretty nice photo here on the side from the show. Back of the box is pretty much all the figures we know of already. So, putting him off to the side, I will move on to Sledge. You can take a look at the back of his card. Again, pretty much the same figs down there. Next up, Slammer. I'm just grabbing these in the easiest order possible. There you go. Next we'll do Vivizord. Alright. And then last, but certainly not least, Stingrage. Take a look at the back of his card there. So yeah, pretty nice cards on the back, all these, little bio with a nice picture from the show. So we'll go ahead, we'll get all these out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. So up first we have Spellbinder, and I have to say I really like his design. I think it's very colorful and it's a lot of fun. I like the cape here on the back. Nice paint up here at the top, some red on the face. You got a little bit of detail down here, kind of near the knees. Overall, it's a lot of black, but I think there's definitely some nice paint applications. Articulation-wise, head can swivel from side to side. Hands just move up and down. They don't really have like an out-to-the-side joint, an up-and-down joint there. And I think that's just because the cape's kind of in the way. I mean, the cape has a little bit of pliability to it, so you can move it a little bit. It's not a ridiculously hard, rigid plastic. But it doesn't really make sense to have him kind of have the hands come out to the side. He does have that articulation in the hips, though. So he can go front to back and out to the side, and then he's got it bend pretty much 90 degrees at the knee, which is nice. I really like the texture on the hands, or I should say the arms and the legs up here. I think that looks pretty nice. He's got kind of a feather look. I'll get a little bit closer. You can see on the arms here, he's got the feather look. This is just kind of like a leather look, but it's nice. And you have kind of the like bird heads here on the hands with the red eye, which is a nice touch. So overall, I think Spellbinder is pretty good. He doesn't come with any accessories or anything, but I like the design of the figure. I think it's got enough articulation. Really, the only other articulation you could ask for is the swivel in the out to the side hinge in the shoulders, but I really don't think it's that big a deal. I think overall, it's a pretty nice figure. Next up, we have Stingrage. He's a pretty excellent figure. He's got pretty much all the articulation you could need. He's got the same joint in the hips and the shoulders, which is the out to the side and can move around. He's got 90-degree bends in the elbows and knees, and the head can swivel from side to side. Although, because of his kind of head tentacles, it can't move that far. It kind of reminds me of a Twi'lek from Star Wars with the kind of head tails. And he's got these nice silver wings on the back. So I think he's a pretty excellent figure as far as he's got great articulation. He's got a lot of molded in detail. He's got some colors to break up all the green. Some nice paint here on the chest and especially the face. Definitely like that a lot. Comes with one accessory, which is kind of this giant trident, which you can see also has some nice detail molded here. It's kind of a little bit of a pain to get in his hand, but it's not terrible. You just kind of have to really get it in there. But then once it's in there, it looks great. Poses well with it. I really like the silver wings on the back. I feel like the silver really breaks up the rest of the color scheme, and it looks really good. I have to say, Stingrage I think is one of the best from this wave, just because he's got a great articulation, great paint and color scheme, and comes with a nice accessory. So he's got pretty much everything you'd need from a Power Ranger figure. Here's the Vivizord, which I have to say, the paint on this guy is really nice. He's got the kind of black wash, the same as the Vivix do. He doesn't really have a whole lot in the way of articulation, though, and he definitely doesn't come with any accessories, but I feel like that makes sense for this figure. In the show, a bunch of the Vivix will combine to make a giant Vivizord, which the Megazords can fight. So if you've been collecting the Megazord action figures, this guy definitely makes sense to pick up, because then you can kind of set up a scene where he's fighting the Megazord figures and they're perfectly in scale and everything. Articulation-wise, though, he's literally got the arms can kind of move up and down, and the same for the legs. They can move back and forth a little bit, but really not all that much, hindered by the body. This guy is kind of just a huge chunk of plastic. I mean, he's nice and solid, definitely got some heft to him, but you can see that the real beauty of this guy is the black wash and all the intricate detail and everything that was put into the paint. That's where the bulk of the investment, or I should say the money of this figure goes to, just because he doesn't have a lot in the way of articulation or posability, but the paint just looks great. So especially if you just collect these guys to put on a shelf, then this guy's definitely going to be one to pick up. So then here we have Slammer. I think Slammer is probably the weakest of this wave. He just has a few problems that, kind of really bring him down. It's a whole lot of this bronzish brown color, which is not the most flattering color. And also he has a severe lack of posability in the upper torso area. The head can move from side to side. Absolutely nothing as far as the arms go, because this is all one solid hunk of plastic here. You have a little bit, not even quite 90 degrees in the elbows, and that's really about as high as he can bring his arms up. He does have that articulation in the hip like most figures, where he can go out to the side and front to back, but because of the big skirt, it's really hindered, so it can really only go about this far. And then you have 90 degrees in the knee, which is nice. But I mean, really, besides the kind of pants here on the thigh section, I do like the white and kind of turquoise stripes, but otherwise it's almost solid bronzish brown, which really just kind of makes the figure kind of boring to look at. And the lack of articulation doesn't help him at all, and trying to get him to stand is also kind of a problem, just because you can see where, like, this section is flat, but then the toes of his feet go up, kind of looking like clown shoes. So it's not impossible to get him to stand, but it's not as easy as some of the other figures. I just think even just a little bit more paint could have really picked this guy up. Maybe to paint the cage up top here, or just a little bit more in the chest or something. Just because you have the lack of articulation, which I understand the design, but, then maybe a little bit more paint would have helped. From the back, it looks even worse. I mean, there's no stripes on the back. This is a complete solid block of bronzish brown. So it's just unfortunate that, they could have put a little bit more love into this figure to make it, really pop. Alright, so then last we have Sledge, and I have to say, I think he looks pretty great. And while his color scheme is primarily kind of a bronzish browns color as well, you can see that it's kind of definitely more golden than the brown color of Slammer. And I think it's just a better color in general. Plus it works well with the kind of fluorescent green he's got going on. I love the kind of tentacle ponytail in the back. I think that's pretty neat. As far as articulation goes, the head can move from side to side. You have kind of a normal shoulder joint with the hinge and then the 360 rotation. Plus you can see that the shoulder pads do not hinder articulation because they kind of flip out to the side. And then you can put the arms in whatever pose you want and then just kind of push them in, and it works perfectly. You have pretty much 90 degrees at the elbow. It's not quite 90 degrees, but pretty close. No torso articulation. Same kind of hip joints that we're used to, out to the side and front to back. Now, he does have a bit of a butt skirt, so that hinders it a little bit, but not really that big a deal. And then he's got pretty much 90 degrees in the knee as well. So I think he looks great. I think they did a great job not having the shoulder pads hinder his articulation. And just overall, I really like the look of the figure. He does come with one accessory, which if you've been watching the show, I believe this is the gun that he puts the purple energem into. And then he has, kind of evil hijinks with that until eventually, spoilers, doesn't work out so well for him. But you can mount this. You can see there's a hole here on the side of his forearm. And you just go ahead and plug this right in there. Very nice. And then he's got his gun. He's ready for mischief. So I think that's pretty great. I mean, it would have been awesome to have a little bit of paint on this weapon, maybe throw in some silver or something just to break it up a little bit, but I understand that for cost-cutting measure, they just, churn it out in one color, and I get that. But overall, I think it's a nice accessory to add. It attaches real well, stays on real solid. Better than trying to put it in these hands, which probably wouldn't, hold the weapon all that much. So I definitely think Sledge is one of the better figures from this wave. Nice accessory, nice color scheme, great articulation. So I think this second wave of villains is just as good as the first wave. I mean, each wave kind of has, one dud or one who's not really as good as the others. In the first wave, it was kind of Bones or Puzzler, and this one it's Slammer. But I think all the figures have something they bring to the table. I think definitely in this wave, Stingrage, yeah, I don't know. They're all pretty good. Like I said, they all have something that they bring to the table in their own right. Like Vivazord doesn't have a whole lot as far as articulation, but he has like a great color scheme and a great amount of detail with that kind of black wash. So I don't really need him to have a lot of articulation. He just looks great on the shelf. If you're looking for articulation, I think Sledge and Stingrage are probably your best. But, Spellbinder's not bad either, and he's got some nice paint. So I think that they're all worth picking up. I mean, a case could be made for forgetting about Slammer, but if you're a completionist like me, you're probably just going to grab the whole set. I think there's some fun to be had with all of these, some obviously more than others. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you have a favorite, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the second wave of villain figures, or I think wave 6 of Dino Charge figures overall. And thanks for watching.